damn straight. My name is Samuel Trapp. This is International Flavor. This is a special edition of International Flavor coming to you live from the Lake Ozark Real Estate of the Art Studio. Reason I'm in here and doing this is, frankly, I'm pissed off. Here we go again. I'm searching on the, I believe it's the Southern District of New York, ECF site, if this computer will allow me in from here, or if my passwords will allow me. I think it will. Because sometimes it's tough to get my what do you call it? Computers to agree with me when I try to get something done. And so today we're waiting for President Trump to come on and justify his action taking Nicolás Maduro and his wife into custody and heisting them from Venezuela and bringing them to the United States. This is a type of BS that I completely hate. And, and they will avoid the question, oh, gee, why? What gives you the right? What gives you the authority? They'll ignore that to destroy another country. Venezuela has been around for a long time. What have they done to us? Seriously, what have they done? Oh, they're sending drugs. You have no proof of that. You got nothing. You supplied nothing. And by the way, even if they are, fight the drugs. Fight the drugs. You don't go destroy a country or engage in your regime change so that you can control the oil. Here we go again. Same old shit, different day. And we're doing the same thing. And I'm pissed about it. It's stupid. And, no, there is nobody that can justify this to me, because this is not how a good neighbor acts. Okay? You could say, well, that's not how a good neighbor acts if they're sending drugs. Never have we targeted the drugs. You think targeting Nicolás Maduro is going to stop the drug traffic? No, it's not. It is not. They'll be replaced with somebody else. Does this good for the people of Venezuela? Absolutely not. Because now what? What are we going to do? We're going to pick the same thing we always pick, somebody who licks the ass of American power, and stuff them into office. It's going to be the girl who won the Nobel Peace Prize that Donald Trump is a little pissed off about, but they'll shuffle her in as the dream. And in my understanding, she doesn't have the support that he believes that they tout, that they say what it is. I don't believe anything that they say. So, of course, everybody knows that about me. I just don't believe. And so I am making sure that I am, sending the TV stuff to the correct spot. And I'm watching when it comes on and talks about coming live. Now, Trump did a little bit of an interview on how this occurred and what they did to make this happen. They apparently built the special forces, built a replica of the house that the wife and Maduro live in, and practiced on that, and then stormed the house in the middle of the night, took them in possession in their custody of them in their pajamas, and that was that. That is what happened. And I saw this. Somebody sent it to me, actually. They sent me where it is. Maduro's been indicted in New York. The world's already condemning the action. I condemn the action, just so you know. It's the same old that the deep state has been engaged in. And here we go. Donald Trump's now part of it. If you ever had any question whether he was part of it or not, or he's been snowed by it or not, this is the Marco Rubios of the world. This is the neocon of the world. This is not how you engage in international affairs. This isn't how you do it. This is not political. This is not, the use of force is something that should be extremely rare. Extremely. And there is zero cause for us to go in there and get involved in this and create another drama, another military-industrial complex, MIC, military-industrial complex win. This is a win for them. on a huge level. We have ships in the ocean off the coast of Venezuela, Colombia. Venezuela is they cite this UN report. I told you about that the other day. The UN report that says that Venezuela is a major trafficker. Guess what? They're not. They're not even listed in the top 4. That's Colombia and Peru are the top 2. And that's why aren't we bombing the shit out of them? Because they don't have any oil. That is why. And this UN report that they cite, they're lying about. That's what government does, people. They lie and they justify. And this is the same old in truth. And I am trying while I discuss, feel free to call in if you'd like, 573-746-8020. I don't know that anybody's listening because this is a special edition of the show. But if anybody wanted to phone in, I'd be happy to chat with them about this or take a different proposal. The BBC has pulled up the on the far right TV. I don't know how to get to there, but they've pulled up the indictment. That's what I'm looking to do. I'm trying to get to the indictment on the the Southern District of New York. You can wait with me while I do it. New York ECF. We hit the button. Southern District of New York. Electronic case filing. Log in. Let us log in. But see, my stuff isn't remembered here, and that's the problem. I don't remember how to get to it. I wonder if I can do, because I don't remember my password off the top of my head. We're going to try a different way to get in there, and it'll be entertaining. Sorry to entertain you with this BS while I'm on it, but I want to read the entire indictment when we get there and read it to you and share what counts there are. There it is. This one had my login info stored. I love it. Okay. Looks like I'm going to be able to get in. Continue. Yep. Close. Please wait. Close. Do I want an app? No, I don't want an app. Multi-factor identification. Set up authentication to sign in. Can I just close that out? I don't want to do it. Son of a nutcracker. Now they're requiring me to do all of this stuff. Security code has been sent to your email. Well, they've changed all the login requirements, and so I gotta go and hunt it down. Here it is. Got to go to my email. I am really sorry for this part, but it is a learning deal for me. Every time you log into a different what do you call it? Different Pacer account, you have to start all over. And now it looks like they're gonna screw me here. Let's see. I'm really sorry about this, but as soon as Trump comes on, I'll play it for you live, and I will make sure to get there. But I'm going to rant about this in the meantime, and close. Never. Damn it. Well, I'm really pissy now. But Trump will be on in a little bit, and we can cover some news in the meantime about how this occurred and why and how and all that other crap. And we'll make sure that is in there. What have I done? Have I messed this up? There it is. Son of a nutcracker. I'm not liking this one little bit. Now where to go? This is nonsense. Huh. Well, friends and neighbors, we are having a little technical difficulty logging in to get the indictment copy. I want to read the indictment, so we're going to. And next. Okay. my God, what? I should have done this before. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a song on in the meantime. So see if we can do something while I get this trucking. I don't know what to do here. I'm going to put something on because it's messing with me and it's driving me crazy. So, but I want to be sitting here because the old Trumpster is going to come on here any minute and want to talk about the beauty of this action and how he can justify it. I really am interested in what his justification is going to be. We got narco-terrorism. No, you didn't. And it's not terrorism in the first place. That's a BS term that you created to justify what you're doing. And this is nonsense. So I'm going to start with a friend on mine because we had an unrest on the Sumi event, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a Maduro regime commentary from my good friend on the Military Summary channel, and then I will, maybe we should do Alex Christoforou. I like listening to him. He's comical, and he comes to us live usually from Cyprus. So let's see where he is today, and I will find and get through that while you listen to him for just a minute. How about that? And where is the old right TV? Here it is. All right, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to quiet my mic for just a minute whilst I find the indictment, okay? I have to check some things. Here is Alex.
It's an unjustified.
They're talking to Maduro very, very young, 20 years ago. And they're putting that on there. Alex is going to comment on this. China's top diplomats met with Maduro for over 3 hours in Caracas yesterday, and they had all-weather ties against U.S. sanctions. Here's Alex.
Update on this Saturday afternoon, January the 3rd, coming to you from Larnaca, Cyprus. And we have the big news, the breaking news that Maduro has been captured. This, according to U.S. President Trump, who posted on Truth Social, the United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolás Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. So the United States has successfully kidnapped the leader of another country. Let's not use the word captured. Let's call it what it is. A kidnapping. That's what this is. They kidnapped the leader of another country. The rules-based order, international law and the rules-based order, huh? Here is a post from Yeroman, and I believe he is spot on with this post. The operation in Venezuela was prepared similar to the operation in Syria by bribing military leaders. That's why we didn't see any air defense working. I warned about that a couple of months ago. Absolutely right. 100%. That is exactly what I think happened here. This is a successful covert operation. I wouldn't say this is a successful military operation. I would say this is a successful intel covert operation. The United States was able to turn various parts of the Venezuelan military, not all of the military, but the part of the military that had to deal with the defense of the country, the air defense systems of the country. That's why we saw no air defense whatsoever. There was no air defense. The U.S. Air Force and the helicopters, free reign to operate and target whatever they wanted to target. And that's exactly what they did. And that allowed U.S. special ops to capture Maduro. That is exactly what I think happened, in much the same way as what happened in Syria. But in the case of Syria, Assad was able to escape to Russia. He was not captured. He made his way to Russia. In the case of Maduro, well, Russia or China is very, very far away. Maduro was just meeting with Chinese officials just a few hours ago. He was meeting with Chinese officials, and it looks like he had no idea what was going on. It looks like China had no idea what was going on, or Russia. So this was a very successful U.S. covert operation. Whoever they needed to bribe and to turn, they did it successfully. And this freed up the U.S. military to keep the parts of the Venezuelan military occupied, to attack parts of the Venezuelan military, the facilities, and so on that they needed to keep occupied and to go after. So they did that. Air defense non-existent. Special ops come in and they grab Maduro. Exactly what happened in Syria. Pretty much exactly what the U.S. did in Syria. A very successful covert operation and a kidnapping of a leader of a sovereign country. I'm sure this is breaking all kinds of international law. I'm sure many countries around the world, the majority of the countries around the world are horrified at what is happening. The United States conducting these airstrikes, this military operation, and kidnapping the leader of Venezuela, and countries need to take notice of what's going on. This is a Trump administration. This is a United States whose foreign policy is very much based on trickery. I've said this so many times. It is a foreign policy based on trickery, whether it's the blowing up of pipelines. This goes back to Biden, actually. It's not only Trump. There's also the Biden administration, whether it's the blowing up of pipelines. Not that Biden did it. I'm not saying that Biden blew up Nord Stream, guys. I'm not saying that at all. We all know it was Gilligan and the skipper. But there is no international rules-based order or international law or anything like that. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist at all. What we're seeing is the great powers, or at least the United States, doing whatever it wants to do or whatever it needs to do to continue to hold on to its unipolar moment and to prevent the rise of BRICS, of the multipolar world. So if pipelines need to go kaboom, they will go kaboom. If tankers need to be seized, they will be seized. If drones need to hit tankers or refineries, then the drones will hit the tankers and or the refineries. If you need to launch strikes into Nigeria to protect the Christians, you'll do that as well. If you need to get protests going in Iran, you can do that also. If you need to decapitate scientists, decapitation strikes against scientists, that's also on the agenda. And if you need to go into a country and kidnap its leader, well, you can do that as well. You just need to pay the right people, and there you go. And then you can do it. This has been in the works for a while. The New York Times.
I'm going to fade him out after that. I have failed in my effort to get a copy of the indictment, and I'm looking in strange places on the internet to try to get a copy of the indictment because I want to see the statement of jurisdiction. That's what I want to look at, is what claim of jurisdiction they have over this. So you charge people with crime in the U.S., and then you go, same thing we did back in Nicaragua. What was his name? Whoever the president of Nicaragua was at the time. Did the same thing down there to take over Nicaragua and do the crap that we've done all over the world and continue to do. You know, I as an American am offended by this. I don't like it. I think it's wrong. I believe in diplomacy, not force, and creating war and doing that. What is wrong with diplomacy? In all seriousness, what is wrong? Look, now they're bringing up the indictment on the other side, but I'm trying to pull it up and they won't let me. I wonder if I can get this in here. It's sealed apparently, and I can't get to the sealed ones. I can only get to the open ones. This is TV number 2. We're going to try something, see what they're saying, because they're reading the indictment right through here. Hold on. See if we can get some of that, if I can figure this out.
Just so that we know that, and kind of reminder to the American populace that when we do these operations, there are human beings that we are putting in harm's way. No doubt. So I would like to hear an update on that, just to know that, one, there were no killed in action on this. We conducted the operation. And then I think what you're probably going to see, and I think some of the political
I don't want to listen to this guy.
Whether they
I have the
listen
wrong
to it
TV.
or not,
Sorry.
kind of help the American people understand
I don't care about that. That's, Fox News is going to glorify this. We all know that. They're going to just, this is great, this is fantastic, bomb the shit out of them, and we're going to love that. Now it's not on there, though. Here's the Article 3 project guy talking, though. Let's see if I can get that to work. I'm still new at the TV stuff. Sorry for the
indictment from
stuff.
The Attorney General in a federal court, the Southern District of Manhattan, to allow the military to go execute on that indictment and to bring him in as a criminal.
Yeah, Southern District of New York in Manhattan, and there was a separate indictment in 2020 also. So there are 2 different indictments.
Yeah, I saw those. Maybe they're right.
The latest indictment, and these are very serious charges. Maduro and his wife are going to spend the rest of their lives in federal prison in the United States.
What a freaking joke.
This is President Trump is following the rules. His attorney general is following the rules.
No, they're not.
I want to say
you're stretching that
to
shit.
President Trump and his team. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, this is how you sell it right here. You have everybody come out and say, I ain't listening to this a-hole. I'm not listening to that. That is nonsense. And they go out, and this is how they justify it. The American people will never get the truth on this. This broke all kinds of laws. And I'm probably jumping here too soon to have this kind of a show, but I want to get, I want to question what's going on with the old Trumpster when it comes on. And the Venezuelan defense chief says people have been the victims of most criminal military aggression by the U.S. The barbarity of invading forces has desecrated the sacred soil of Fort Tiuna in the states of Miranda, Aragua, La Guara, even striking civilian urban areas with missiles and rockets fired from combat helicopters. We are currently gathering information on the injured and the dead. We fully support the decree declaring a state of external emergency across the entire national territory. And as a result, the men and women of the armed forces are carrying out the instructions of President Nicolás Maduro, deploying all our capabilities. We will win. Long live the homeland. That's a statement from Venezuela's defense chief on the capture. No matter how you slice it, I don't care what justifications they come up with on TV and have these people come and talk to it. This is wrong. This is un-American. This is not how we act. And I've got people who will call me, maybe a lot of the commentators on this exact program, they go, no, Trump's doing what needs to be done. We got to come do this, and we got to go take him out. Okay. Why don't we do the same here? Why don't we do it? Why don't we use the military to go take all the people that are doing drugs, go take them. This is not cutting off the head of the snake. This is bullshit. What about the other countries? Does that mean we got to go to Peru and to Colombia? Those are the biggest that are sending out drugs. But nope. We go to one that's fifth or sixth down the line because we know they have oil and we can attack Maduro. And we can put in we can shuffle in through fake elections, just like in Ukraine. We can shuffle in, have fake elections, have it show that, guess who wins? Oh my gosh, it was the person that gets 20% of the electorate but wins a Nobel Peace Prize. But the U.S. sets up the elections. If you think those elections are going to be anything less than corrupt, forget it. They're just going to install somebody, just like they did in Ukraine. They took out the person that supported the opposite side of where they wanted the support and then shuffled in some a-hole that didn't win an election. That is the pattern. And like Nicolás said when you were talking to him, same thing they did in, Syria he was talking about. We've done this. This is the same mode of operation that we have done repeatedly since Nicaragua. Way back when, and probably before that. But this is the same bullshit. And they'll come in and they'll justify it. And, it's great. We got them. We have big swinging wieners. And here it is. We took out some guy doing drugs. Well, why don't you take out the guy doing drugs in East St. Louis? Why don't you do that? Why don't you spend your efforts on our safety? I'm so tired of this crap. I can't stand it. You have to find something for the military to do. You got to find something for the military-industrial complex to continue to make the money. We're saving America. We're saving America. America wasn't in any danger. Why don't you do some policing? How about that? You block the border, you close that off, and now we're taking over other countries. We complain when other people take over other countries, but we do it all the time. Why? Because we're the biggest, baddest bully on the block. And the condemnation is coming from everywhere. The condemnation, the West, let's see, that's not the one I wanted. Let's see. Well, let's get to this and say Maduro is charged with narco-terrorism conspiracy. Okay? Here we go. I'm still waiting for the old Trumpster to show up online, and we'll see. I don't know if I have the phone thing connected right. Let's check on that. And then somebody sent me a text on my telephone. Maybe that's something important. But then again, maybe not. Let's see. Can't get anything. So I didn't get any important texts. I thought somebody might have sent me something. Here to discuss. I'm going to give that phone number again, 573-746-8020, should you desire to call in. By the way, even if you're a family member listening from far away, I can't get you in on WhatsApp. That's for sure. I got a brother in Brazil, and he's I think he's chose to stay down there. That's good stuff. And we have so much shit going on in the world, just tons of it. U.S. President Trump. U.S. has confirmed his forces carried out large-scale airstrikes in Venezuela, claimed that the oil-rich, always, South American country's leader, Nicolás Maduro, has been captured and flown out of the country. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi later announced that Maduro and his wife had been indicted in New York on charges of narco-terrorism conspiracy. Yeah, let's create something new there. And will soon face the full wrath of American justice. Oh, yeah. We're going to imprison them and send them to Club Fed to give them an iPad for the rest of their lives, pay for them to be there. Why? Because we want their oil. We want to damage BRICS, as you heard Alex Cristoforo say. That is the truth. That is primary in this. Is trying to force everybody back into the U.S. is the biggest, baddest. If anything, they are encouraging more action everywhere. We've got China on Taiwan. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of deal between China and the U.S. to say, well, don't fuck with us over here and we won't screw with you over there. Sorry, I shouldn't talk like that. And you don't screw with me, I won't screw with you. You take because I'm telling you, the one China policy is there. They've said it. Taiwan even said it. It depends on what leaders in power at the same time. It's just the money of the West. Nobody wants them to touch. On another topic, Vladimir Zelensky, and notice how he's changed his name to Volodymyr instead of Vladimir. It's Volodymyr, right? Short, it's Volodya for all of them, or Vlad. You can do that. But Volodymyr Zelensky, who was previously Vladimir Zelensky, calls for a 50-year U.S. security guarantee for Ukraine. There's a big win for the military-industrial complex. The U.S. can do this. Where are these Newsmax people hiding out? Are they got to be in? Oh yeah, they're in Florida. Talking. Well, look what we've done. We're so glad we ran away from that country, and you've killed. You've taken out the guy. Well, yeah. Then go back to Colombia. I guarantee you won't. You got these people dancing in the streets in Florida that are very happy, waving their Venezuelan flags because you took out Maduro. And so Maduro's corrupt. Okay, I don't give a crap. It is not our problem. It is not. The whole world is corrupt, including the United States. Why do we get to decide who's corrupt and who's not? I'm hating this crap. Venezuelan, you hear, by the way, George Clooney and his wife are getting French citizenship. Well, more power to him. If I had enough money, I'd, certainly have a house in the French Riviera somewhere too. I would do that. Wonder who this is. Let us see if we can chat with someone and have a nice discussion. Hello.
I'm so glad we ran away from that country and you killed it. You've taken out the guy. Well,
what happened? Hey, you got to turn your radio off because you're.
You got these people dancing in the streets.
Wait, we got it. How about that? That's better. Hello, caller. How may I help you?
Good morning, Sammy. How are you today?
If I was any better, they'd arrest me.
That's terrible. Well, they probably will do that anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I'm good for it.
Maybe not before they get me.
They shall come after me. I've been railing on the U.S. Overreach, creating stuff for the military to do, and a big win for military-industrial complex. So, what's your thoughts?
What are my thoughts about the military-industrial complex? Don't you remember that Eisenhower warned against the big big military-industrial complex? Do you remember how he warned against that in his farewell address to the U.S.?
I do. Yep, I study those things as well, and but I'm talking specifically about the action to take out Maduro and his wife, to capture them with Delta Force or whoever did, and bring them to New York to face charges of narco-terrorism, something brand new. They've been indicted here. Let me read this quick. They've been indicted in the Southern District of New York, charged with narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices against the United States. The guy's not in the U.S. Who gives a rip? Yeah, I'm so tired of this crap. I can't stand it. Anyway, that's the ride.
Yeah,
now your turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is the U.S. This is the big bad U.S. machine. We know this. This is the deep state. This has been going on for decades, possibly centuries.
Oh, long. It's been going on at least since I was born, for sure.
Well, even when I was in the military, also military intelligence, if there is such a thing.
Misnomer.
But yeah, exactly. But if you recall, some of our relatives were involved in those covert operations for the Nicaraguan president.
What was his name? I'm trying to remember. Noriega. There you go. That's right. We did the same freaking thing on that. This is total shit. Total crap.
However, look what the narrative is that they're pushing.
Oh, we needed to do this.
Yes, because they need to put her in power.
I know that because she will give us the oil.
That's right. That's what we need. We need someone that will be our puppet.
That's exactly right. We'll be our Vladimir Zelensky to Joe Biden. We'll be our
and
we'll
when
be our
we're
puppet.
done with them,
we throw them away.
And when we're done with them, that's right. And we create another coup where
and we take them out.
Lucky, they get to go. Right, we get to go into exile.
If they're lucky, they get to go to the U.S. club-fed prison. They get to go if they don't kill them. We'll have to see about
that. That's their retirement.
Right. The retirement is somebody's going to take out Zelensky. They're going to allow that to happen, and somebody will take out this other lady.
Of course, there's numerous conspiracies that we did the same thing with Hitler and his regime. Back in the 40s, there's ample evidence. This is all conspiracy, conjecture, and innuendos. Nothing, but there is evidence. There is evidence that Hitler was brought and had a retirement chalet in Montana, of all places.
Well, I wonder if I can live there. They're getting ready. The old Trumpster's coming, and I'm making sure I can do this right. Hang on. And once he comes out, they're now focusing on the podium. And so when they do, I'm going to slide up the TV thing and slide you out. So
fine.
I will hang up
fine.
on you.
I'm used to being discarded.
Discarded like a soggy donut, a soggy donut, a soiled napkin.
like an old regime in a faraway country.
That's right, like a regime in Venezuela or Nicaragua, because Nicaragua's a total shit show now. I went there for New Year's a couple years ago, and they are like some. They are like some families where they just go around and stir up contention and discord everywhere they go. Ain't that the truth? Love it,
everywhere they go. And the more that they do, and the deeper the doo-doo gets, they bask in it.
Yeah,
and they love the smear campaign
so
that they can smear it around to everybody. Share the smear.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's what's interesting. Nothing like learning the truth while you're working for the U.S. government.
Well, and you know what? That's when it first came to me, when I was, working as a diplomatic interpreter, interpreting stuff, and I had questions. I have questions. Yep. And
heaven forbid. The problem is
you're not allowed to ask questions.
Yours is not to wonder why. Yours is just to do or die.
Yep, I remember that.
Exactly.
Yep. You're not, and I heard that so many times when I ask questions. It's funny that we both know that, because I was called Sergeant Question Mark, because I always had questions. It's like, wait a minute, why are we doing that? That's idiotic. Wouldn't it be better if we did blah? But suggestions are not encouraged.
Right. Yeah. We don't need your
stupidity.
We've already
the further up you go, the stupider you get, and you're supposed to be.
I think that's part of the ASVAB test.
That's right. How stupid can you be? I can be pretty damn stupid. Great. Let's promote you. We're going to put you in charge.
That's a government man all over the place.
I know.
Success depends on your loyalty.
And whose rear end you are licking. So.
Yep. There we are.
Yeah. And what will we do? What will we do? We will give kudos to our brave special forces who pulled off a truly impressive operation by bribing everyone. We throw money at them all. Say, turn your head the other way. We're coming. And then we come capture the guy and his wife in their pajamas, lock them up, and bring them to New York. And
there are different perspectives on that. They all what they want us to believe is that Maduro is a dictator and that we are actually saving the country.
Oh no, we're not. We're destroying
for the next
for the lady who won.
I
can't remember either, but she won the thing, and she's got like a 20%.
She believes she won, and remember.
Well, she won the Nobel Peace Prize. The Nobel Peace Prize. And she says, "Oh, gee, you had bad election, and I got screwed in the election." So they're gonna just install her. There won't be an election. We will install her. And she will be there, and somebody will take her out. Somebody going to take her
You
out.
know, that's for democracy.
We have to fight for democracy. Always have to fight for democracy. Democracy.
Yeah, there.
Oh, my goodness. We're fighting for democracy in Ukraine. If you think there's any democracy in Ukraine, you need to have your head examined. You know, that there ain't... there ain't crap but war, corruption, and licking the butt of the guy ahead of you who's got the American money coming into his pocket.
And war is $1 trillion business. Do not interrupt the war machine.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, but study Eisenhower's farewell speech. And he was a general. Come on.
Well, he might have been president at one time.
Well, of course he was president.
Well, you said he was a general.
But yes, but let's remember that he was part of the military complex that he was condemning. And that usually is the case.
I watched it. We got so much money. I was the training NCO in a unit down in Fort Hood for a year and a half. Pretty good sized unit. Regimental Air Regiment is what we had. It was a pretty big one. And I had quick fix helicopters in there and had several squadrons of what do you call them? Those attack helicopters. I forget the little small cool ones that were very big in the 80s, and all kinds of those things. And I was the training NCO, and so I did all the training for the officers and for the pilots, for all the crew chiefs and all of that, and I also did the language training for us. And we had so much money coming through there for training, but we were gone all the time because it was Fort Hood. And so toward the end of the summer, because you got to spend all that money by October 1, or you don't get it again. And we
by
started
September 30th.
That's right. We started wasting money like madmen because, and you're going, wait a minute, why are we buying $40,000 conference tables? We don't spend the money. We don't get it.
Remember that I was combat support missile systems, so let's not forget that. Plenty of money going into that.
Oh, tons. And they always talk about not having enough, and now they got $1 trillion budget.
Yep, it's
$1 trillion.
Well, that's because the price of hammers went up from $1,200. Remember?
Right. Now they're $1,700, and that conference table today will cost you $80,000, not $40,000. And, you can't just get on Amazon and buy one. Jeez, that would suck. You don't want that. You can't live on a $1,500 regular person conference table. We need one that costs $60,000 and is made out of one solid piece of wood or stone. That's what we need. Yep. I really hope I got this TV set properly because he's going to wander out here pretty soon.
Now, what is Trump doing today? Bring me up to speed on that.
Well, he's going to address the nation from Mar-a-Lago and glorify the capture of Nicolás Maduro and his wife. He's going to glorify it. First thing he's going to do, our wonderful troops have done the job. They've kicked the crap out of a bunch of people, and they trained, and we built them a model house of Maduro's here in Washington, D.C., or wherever, Fort Bragg, somewhere. And we built one, and they used it as a training place, and they learned how to go in, and everybody's safe. We only bombed a few places to make it look good, and to give our military, some additional training, but this was an operation that took weeks to prepare, and our guys went in great and destroyed everybody. We paid off the right folks, and that is what you will hear. And this narco-terrorism, we won't put up with, but it won't say a word about jurisdiction because they don't have it.
You know what I think would be interesting?
What?
So I have a very close family relative from my ex's side of the family.
Oh.
Who was one of the Delta Force Green Berets. Berets Delta Force, who actually guarded Noriega. Let's see, what is it? Yeah, Noriega over in Nicaragua.
Is that right?
Manuel Noriega, that's right. And he talked how they had him confined to a church building.
They should the
jungles.
I tell you what, the only thing I see
he knows all about the covert operations. If you could ever get him to talk.
Wait a second. Here it is. That just came out. 1-3 deleted documents. I found it. Sealed documents. Now I'm on the PACER system. I'm on the Eastern District, and here's the order. Here's a superseded, unredacted indictment. I got it. I think. This document is not available. Nope, because I'm a public member, and it's not available to lawyers either. But I can't
just
get
pay
it. And
the bills.
here's the other order: to accept the charges. View document. Let's view this document. See what it says. Open. Here we go. United States versus Nicolás Maduro et al. Honorable Jennifer Willis, U.S. District Magistrate Judge. The government requests superseded indictment be unsealed. January 3rd. They want to unseal the indictment so that people can read it. Let's see. But I don't see it yet. I don't see it's still. Oh, son of a nutcracker. Have I haven't used my ECF on a regular basis, and so it kind of screws me up here. Well, here it is. Superseding unredacted document filed as to Nicolás Maduro, Diosdado Cabello Rondon, Ramon Rodriguez Chachin, Celia Adela Flores de Maduro, Nicolás Ernesto Maduro Guerra, Hector Rosenford Guerrero Flores. Not for public view pursuant to standing order of the court, meaning I can't log in, not for public view. I can't get it. This document is not available to me. But they can leak it to the newspapers. So unfortunately, you have to get it there.
Well, and not only that,
somebody will post it later, but
you just keep writing the blank checks and signing those, and then you can continue to get what you already have gotten.
Yeah, nothing. You are not entitled to know how we took jurisdiction over Nicolás Maduro. This is such shit.
But the good news is that we could be unburdened by what has been.
Yeah, I feel unburdened. Here I am, unburdened by what has been. I'm unburdened by a lot of things, but I'm suddenly burdened by all of this horse crap. We have a signed memorandum of understanding regarding classified information as to several of these people on 12/4. We have a deleted document on 1/3, which was an unredacted indictment. We have an order that shows Trumpster's just about to walk out into the
So, Sam, the problem
space.
here is not them. The problem here is that your eyes are wide open and you are speaking.
Yeah,
So
I know.
that is the problem. So what needs to happen is you need to take your daily dose of propaganda and shut up and just walk with the days in your eyes. And
everything will be well.
Keep churning the hamster wheel and churning out that money for the great omnipotent Oz.
Well,
I am the great and powerful.
I tell you what, I was in the right case file, and that kind of surprised me, but I am there. I am waiting for the old Trumpster to walk out and give us the politicized scoop, as it were, on what is going on. But he will. I already told you what he will say. We already know what he's going to say.
What I do like about Trump is we get his from the straight up business perspective. The lies have a whole new twist to them, and that's refreshing.
That's true agree? Too. It is, but don't act like he's not part of the bigger issue, though.
No, notice
internationally,
said,
this international bullshit. This means, you know what this means? It means Greenland's next. That's what this means.
So you do realize, though, that Trump and Putin, the reason that they are in alignment is because they are both nationalists.
Well, yes, but this is not nationalism.
No, I'm talking about in the factions of the elite, it is the nationalists. There's three main factions, and I'm sure that someone has already, of course you already know this, the nationalist faction, the globalists, and there's another faction that's got a whole new level of evil in it. And the name escapes me right now, their label. But the nationalists put places like Russia first, America first, blah, blah, blah first, each country. But they still have the same dark room,
Well, yeah, I realize that too. Yeah, these are backroom deals.
This is just people, the groups, entities, organizations, clandestine governments to forward their agenda. It's basically the same agenda, but just different twists according to their own. It's just like when they say, "How do you run a business?" Well, I don't know. It depends. Depends on what it is you're trying to do or who you are. You can run a business a million different ways, but people agree and they're in alignment on certain ways. But and Trump are in alignment. I believe.
Well, no, they are. They are.
That doesn't mean they're right. That doesn't mean they're right. But it's opposed. The opposition is Hillary Clinton, Obama.
Yeah.
That's even they're just all
even
straight
the
up
Bushes.
a whole.
They were all the same.
Yeah. Oh, especially
we
the
had the
Bushes.
uniparty.
Different
We had
shades of evil.
uniparty from 91 to 2016. And maybe, but I don't think Reagan was that way. No. So no, but
that's why he was given
Reagan,
the warning
after
shot.
Bush won,
that was the warning shot.
Well, that's right. Bush won, and all the rest up to Trump. But Trump's in on it too, but at a different. A different focus.
It's a different perspective.
Right.
They all have. That's the thing.
Right.
That's
it's all the same. We wield the government as a weapon. The government is our weapon. This is what we do.
Yep.
We want this.
There
the
is no
government will
sovereignty.
find a way to get it for us. And that is what
we
I
are
hate.
not sovereign citizens free to act according to our will. That is, we are not.
Absolutely not. And
No.
And we are subject to
amazing.
this sort of horse shit, that
Yeah.
destroys the opinion of Americans worldwide. When you
Yeah.
go out other places and people you see you as an American, trust me, they don't envy you. They think you're,
It began.
they
it's
do not.
terrible.
And
Believe me.
a lot of times they don't like you because you're an American, and you have to
many
overcome that fact. And not
Now,
because
in
you're
Russia-
an American, because of this. The people of Russia are different. They separate.
yeah.
They separate, and they
Right,
know the
that's
government
right.
is this, and the normal people
that's
are this.
That's because they have firsthand experience with what oppression is.
They have
and what
communism.
propaganda
They
is.
have communism. They have propaganda.
When I was over in Russia, then I had many people come up to me, and they all know Tira Amerikaniec, yeah. And then what did they say?
They're very
we love
surprised
you.
that you even
We
try to
love
speak
America.
Russian, and they love you,
Yep.
and they love the people
But
of
they-
America.
But
they
my
also
other friend,
love
who was
Russia.
a Russian interpreter for, and I'm talking, he was Russian and he was an interpreter for English for Americans, but it was for an entity that I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me straight up, I said, please come back and come visit me over in Idaho. And he said, yeah, yani hatu. I'm like, oh, why? Why? It's beautiful. You're going to love it. I'm not talking the city. I'm talking Yellowstone. And he goes, Niet. He's like, and I said, why? Patamushta. He's like, because. He said, you are not free. And what a shocker that was. He said, I am free. He said, you are not free.
Well,
He said, you Americans. And he said, and you don't even realize.
Well,
that gave me something to ponder. That's been a decade ago.
there's a certain amount of truth in that, and
it is true.
and you
But
feel it.
that doesn't mean that he's absolutely free himself, because I had many whispered conversations myself, with
Well, there are
Russians,
certain
because
topics
they were all-
that they do not talk
That
about.
you darn-
You just,
that's right.
You stay away from it. It's like, no, we don't go there. It's like
Yep.
it's like going into a bar and discussing religion, or politics.
yeah.
You don't do it. And in Russia,
Yeah,
you
because-
don't. I got into a discussion. It was at a funeral for my wife's
Yeah, I know who you're
grandmother.
talking about.
My wife's grandmother. She died, and we went to a little town, Chistopol, in this little town of Chistopol where her grandma had lived. And property remains your property for generations. They're not like America, where we move around and we have 50 different houses in our
Oh, yeah.
lives.
We are the most migrating
Right.
country.
They
we are the
stay
most
put
migrating.
in the same place. And she had a really cool
Yeah, most of
uncle.
them.
This uncle was really interesting to me, and I liked talking with him. And we were at the funeral. What do they call it? The wake at the end. We were at
Right,
where they
right.
sit.
The viewing.
This one, she was not Muslim. I went to a Muslim funeral a couple years later for another person. person, but this lady was Pravoslavyanskaya. She was Russian Orthodox, and
Russian Orthodox.
Yeah, and so we went to her. It was very religious, very cool to have this little
Of course.
feast afterward, and it was very, very,
Right.
very, very somber, very nice, and everybody spoke well. And anyway, I got discussing with her uncle, who was just cool as crap, and he asked me a question about what I thought about. This was during Biden, what I thought about Biden and what I thought about how the reactions were and what was going to happen in Ukraine, because it was very close to the 2022 period, when the war started in February.
Mine was during the first administration of Trump, and you should have seen the conversations we had then.
Well, he talked to me for just a limit. And Biden, everybody knew about Biden and what a piece of dog meat he was,
Right.
and that he was just a puppet on a string for somebody, but nobody knew who the string was. And as soon as the conversation turned to Russia and what Russia was going to do in Ukraine and how it goes, he's like, I don't talk about that.
Nope.
He said, no, I don't want to talk about that. And they still have that suspicion of it. And it's just, you know what? It's not worth it. I want to know about you. I want to know if what I hear about you is true, because what we hear is that Americans are stupid. He said, Sam, I don't think you're stupid. He goes, man, the fact that you learned Russian as well as you know Russian means you're not stupid. He goes, you're not a stupid person.
I had many whispered conversations. I lived with a widow over in St. Petersburg.
Yeah,
and,
where I'm supposed to be right now, damn it.
Well, she was an awesome lady, and she is the one that brought up the things, and she told me many things. And she also believes, as many of us conspiracy theorists and preppers and doomsdayers believe. And she also had a little dacha now in the country, as many of them do, but this one, she was actually prepping and very, very interesting. In fact, I wished her a happy new year and talked to her for a short bit then. And the things that she said, and many times she was like, shh, shh, shh,
well, they're just things that they don't talk about, and they're such they're just wonderful people, number one.
Absolutely.
And they don't let that stuff impact their lives. I'm sorry to be sitting here railing about. Right, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
They can't.
And I'm sitting
and
here
that's
railing
what we need to apply
about.
To our own lives.
Then why can't I do it? Why am I sitting here doing a special edition of International Flavor because we have another idiot move by the United States? This is the problem, is that we're very limited in our capacity
and the ability to be able to change this. Even groups and groups of us. We're very, because
so all we can do is be a bunch
of appear as if we are, but we're still not. Things continue forward the way they always have.
So why are we just a bunch of impotent pricks, as it were?
Well,
this is all we can do. What can we do? I mean, seriously.
Well, there are more than 10,000 groups across the U.S. that actually are taking things local, and we participate.
Going local, what does that do? What is it? Does it help us? I mean, should we be more Russian?
It's
I'm
really
asking you.
Important.
Should we be more
what
Russian?
I'm saying is. What, and just not speak about anything?
And just not speak about it and leave it alone and go,
well, that's not
the
American way.
Well,
that's not the American way. We've always been dissenters.
All right,
we've always been rebels. We've always been, I don't think you'll ever get us to do that. But you have to remember, we have a different history entirely than they do.
Well, that's true. They
totally
are
history.
Used to war.
They
honor they honor the fact
their ancestors.
That they lost 26 million people in the Great Patriotic War, and they fight for their nation. And if they hadn't have done that, they'd all be speaking German, and they realize that.
Well, I was actually
we've never had that here.
Over there. I was actually going over there to when I was there for St. Petersburg University, and I was there for the 75th anniversary of the siege on Leningrad. Right?
Yeah.
I was actually over there for that, and the flyovers and the immense. A lot of us don't take our
patriotism.
Nationalism. Yeah, I want to say patriotism, but I don't want that in a bad light. I don't want it with all the political.
Well, no, they're patriots.
things
So,
that
I
go
mean,
with
they
it.
are patriots.
Oh, absolutely.
They
But
believe in what they're
I'm not-
doing.
I'm talking about us. I'm
Yeah, I know.
talking about us.
Us,
I'm talking
it's
about,
kind of a joke, you know. We do it on
Yeah, it is.
on July 4th, and that's it, you know, or
Yep.
Veterans Day, or you know, any of that other
and
stuff,
yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
and now we have people every time they find out you were in the military, they thank you for your
Oh,
service,
please.
and
And that
honestly,
drives me nuts.
it drives me nuts too. You know, thank you for your
Because
service. You
it
don't
should
know what
be
I
our-
did.
It should
It should be an
Yeah,
obligation.
I
It was an
didn't do anything.
obligation to do something.
Right.
You know what
It
did I
should be
do?
not an obligation as in paying taxes, which are criminal. It should be your duty, and it should be your honor
Well, exactly.
to be able to do that.
Exactly.
It should be your honor.
And when I went in, I was so wrong. I thought that the military was
I
full
was
of
too.
full of morons. This was just a stepping stone for me to get some money to go to college. And when I got in, I realized, you know what? This is going to make me a different and a better person than I am. And
I actually didn't go in for the money.
I went in
actually
because
went in for a different reason.
my primary reason was college fund money to get to law school, because my goal was go to law school. But a life version was I got a young girl pregnant and I needed to be a father. And I needed to have a steady way to be a father, because that's a serious obligation. And you know, Army was
it usually
Army
comes
was
down to
difficult.
something that
Army
was
was
personal
something,
for us.
but I had something that gave me money for 4 years to support a family.
Well,
and
I
a
don't know
new
if you know
baby.
this, but you know that I signed up for the Navy first.
I remember that.
Yes, I signed up for the Navy first
Yeah.
as a Russian linguist.
Yeah.
And
And then you
then
bailed.
I switched over to
Why did
Army.
you? Yeah, but you took some weird job.
totally stupid.
What,
yeah,
what,
it was
what did
missile guidance system.
Missile guidance
guidance
systems.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was combat support. Yeah, and I still went out to
Combat
Monterey,
support.
and I did get to go to DLI.
For
and
for which language?
ultimately-
What'd you do?
Russian. Well, and that's the problem that it was. That's the problem, is that it caused problems because back in the day, when you had a guaranteed enlistment and you had certain terms of that, and that's when I started to find out what all of this was really about. And it caused problems because they didn't, in fact, the highest ranking, the highest, longest tenured, I should say, colonel on the base, I became very good friends with. And he said, what you don't understand is, he said, is something called one-upmanship. And he said, and you are steps ahead of many of these officer counterparts. And he said, and they don't like that. And he said, and that is what gets you in trouble, because you are smarter than they are.
Well, I always
And-
that's why I always get
Yeah.
the sergeant
And
question
that's what gets
mark.
us in trouble.
It drives them
That's
nuts.
what all of
you
us
you
get
ask
in-
questions and they go, but why?
Yes.
And I'm not afraid to ask the question. And it is
Yes.
it has destroyed my life that I cannot stop asking
That's right.
questions.
And
I
they
have to
they-
tell you what I believe to be the truth.
Well, they were willing to pay me to leave.
Well, I
Pretty
enjoyed
sad.
it so much. I had one of the best teachers and the greatest class. And honestly, when I was there, that was one of the best years. The first time
Oh, yeah.
I went to DLI
It's the
twice.
best and the worst.
I went to DLI twice, once in
Interesting.
85 and then the next one in 89 and 90. And I went back for the treaty interpreter course, which was the second year. So I got 2 full years at Monterey
Wow.
speaking
That's
Russian 8 hours a day. And
That's awesome.
And after that, I actually used it. And so I
Good.
questioned everything. In fact, when the commanders wouldn't put my packet forward to promote me when I was eligible, when I immediately became eligible, I started harassing them immediately and going, now I'm eligible for this. You tell me what I need to do to get there, what you will do when you sign my packet, because I know you got to sign my packet. What I've maxed everything for promotion. Everything I have is maxed. Is there anything that will stop me from getting on the promotion list the very first time it's available. And I had a couple of people say, well, I had one guy say I didn't take things seriously enough. And he said, well, you don't take things very seriously. I said, what are you talking about?
Well, it's that thread of sarcasm that you'll have running through your veins.
Well, that's definitely true.
It's inherited.
Well, maybe so.
It's like a wide vein of sarcasm.
Well,
cynicism.
I'm definitely
Cynicism.
cynical. Definitely. Well, thanks for psychologically analyzing me today. That's what I need. Is somebody
it
to
didn't take
analyze
much.
me? No. Well, I am who I am, and I had somebody tell me, a lawyer, pretty big one, pretty powerful one in the state. He said, I still believe that Samuel Trapp, you either love him or you hate him. There is no middle ground.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you go from straight loving to straight hating, like we've seen recently in a couple of instances.
Other situations.
Yeah. Things are going on. Donald Trump, we're removing the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland, despite the fact that crime has been greatly reduced by having these great patriots in these cities. And only by that fact, Portland, Los Angeles, and Chicago were gone if it weren't for the federal government stepping in.
Oh, thank heavens for the federal government.
Yep.
Thanks.
Oh,
Thanks for being there.
It's hard to
our
believe that these
benefactor.
Democrat mayors and governors, all of whom are greatly incompetent, would want us to leave, especially considering the great progress that has been made.
Yeah, well, we can't have occupation.
We should write a new book.
Maybe
we could call it.
Maybe that's what we're supposed to have.
That's right.
Occupation.
We could write a new book.
What am I thinking? We do it in every other country. Why can't we do it here at home?
Donald Trump is brain, and Rubio is pinky. What are we going to do today, Brain? Same thing we do every day, Pinky. Plan to take over the world.
The world. Well, I mean, look, isn't it how many countries is it that we are basically occupying and basically have
there are more than 750 army bases in the world. 750.
Yeah.
Largest
we got to
everywhere.
police everybody.
Yep, you don't see China doing that. They don't have them everywhere. Russia has Russia has like 6 places where they have where they've been asked to come in and help. China has maybe 3 installations somewhere. It's not very many, and the U.S. has 750, so that we can dominate the planet.
That's because we are insecure.
What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this being a BRICS thing?
Well, not for us? You're
Trumpster's
talking
coming on.
What am I?
Trumpster's coming on. I got to bring this up.
Have
I'll
a
see
good
you
one.
later. Bye-bye.
I'll listen. All right, bye.
Much. This is big stuff. And we appreciate you being here. Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolás Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, maybe like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far.
That's what bribery does for you. Bribe everybody to look the other way.
Scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time.
That's not true.
As we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years.
So we took over.
So we are going to run the country.
We are running Venezuela
until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
What a crock of shit. That's what you say to that.
Peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're
and that
after.
includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind.
And won't give us the oil.
Had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could
to the west
have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars,
truthful.
fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure,
and steal the
and start
oil.
making money for the country.
Oh, for the country.
And
my
we
ass. For this country.
Ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to
somebody
do
screws
so.
with
So we
us.
were prepared to do a second wave.
You're an embarrassment, buddy.
If we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually.
Greenland's next, friends and neighbors.
This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants
you just
to
said
be
we're going to
involved
dictate
with because
just
of
now.
what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. Yeah. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator
American
Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, many Americans, hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him.
This is crap.
Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial
give them a little
on American soil.
In the Club Fed.
Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to, ultimately, New York. And then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and
somehow they'll die
Miami or Florida,
New York and Miami, or wherever they're.
But
from.
We have
they'll die in between that.
People where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law, and I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place.
Why is it sealed and not
for many years
to the
after
public?
his
Why can't we see
term as president of Venezuela expired? Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over in particular the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal. But they're not so brutal now.
How is that your problem?
And I just have
your
to
problem.
Congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat. But we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have on average two a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're walking their daughters. They're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. It's been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. And it was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing, and we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with.
Yeah, all right, I'll keep an eye on the rest of this and see if there's anything he talks about this crime. But I'm telling you what, my thoughts on this, and I knew it immediately when I woke up this morning, was this is going to be the same old bullshit that always happens. And it is only so they've done it quicker. You know, they had 100,000 active duty total active forces, about 109,000 in Venezuela, right? The Army is about 63,000, 25,000 in the Navy, 11,000 or so in the Air Force, National Guard about 23,000, reserves of about 8,000, right? We used overwhelming force. What you did was you paid people to look the other way because you said, we're coming, and you took them. I want to know how many people you killed in that assault. And in taking it, I think this is a big loss for America. I think this is more of the same for America, and you're going to drive people to understand, because they understand now already. You know, Shell and all the bigwigs, I had a story about that a few weeks ago, got booted out of Russia, and they lost their capacity. They lost billions by leaving Russia, and Russia just nationalized everything they did. And where were they going to replace that? They couldn't figure out where to replace it. They can't get back into Russia. And so what do? They take Venezuela. And Trump's first words, at least he was honest about it. You know, well, we've done this for oil. We've done this for oil. We're going to send the great American oil companies. Why? Why? Venezuelan oil companies, you know, they don't have any money. They won't let us fund it. Where's the money going? China. You know, why can't China fund it? That's what's happening right here. Venezuela was leaning heavily BRICS and going to, jump in. And that is scary because you can't control the oil. And the West needs to have oil that it can control. And this is nothing about narco-terrorism. This has nothing to do with any of that, okay? This has to do only with oil, okay? And that is my objection. This is not how you deal with sovereign nations. But, well, we would condemn any other country that did something like this. We would condemn them. But Russia is probably going to look the other way because Trump's going to bail on Ukraine. This is what it looks like. And he should. You know, we shouldn't be there anyway. But now nobody, they've condemned it. Russian newspapers, let's see what they put. Where is it? Let's see if there's anything new that has been published. Live updates down below. Here we go. We're ready to launch a second and much larger attack if necessary. We already got that. U.S. said U.S. will run Venezuela until it's able to carry out what Trump describes as a safe, proper, and judicious transition of power. That'll never happen until somebody agrees to give Venezuelan oil to the West, period. And the military capacity of Venezuela rendered powerless, and he has a certain expertise to destroy all the lights. He said Maduro's capture was one of the most stunning and effective and powerful displays of American military power. Oh, my God. I can't help but bitch about this. And if you support this kind of activity as an American, that we go and destroy other countries, I really feel for you. I do. This is just not the way that you run a country. This is not the way to be a good neighbor, to make friends, to do anything like that. You want to help the people of Venezuela, help them be educated, help them. I mean, you don't go in and replace them. Oh, we somehow are the answer? We can't run our own freaking country, and we're going to go run theirs? You wanted to say that that's not going to be a corrupt shit show? Here we go again. We're going to dump millions, billions in only for, because we don't give a crap about that country. We don't give a crap about those people. All we care about is the oil. That's it. It's oil, oil, oil. The end. End of sentence. And he was very clear about that. You heard him. American oil companies are going to go in and fix that. Hell, they probably got ships waiting right now. They're probably on the oil fields already because we run Venezuela. Venezuela is USA South. There's 51 states in the country now. Venezuela is the 51st. Next stop, Greenland. We're going to go up there and take over Denmark. We're going to do it. We're going to take over Denmark and get rid of those people. There's only 50,000 of them. Yep, try that with another country. Put your military to a real test. That ain't no test. You know, oh, geez, we're going to take over Venezuela. Real difficult. We're going to take over Nicaragua. Yep. Because we are the police of the world, certainly in the Southern Hemisphere. What this is a warning shot to any country in South America that prefers to deal with China and Russia. You think this wasn't a shot at Brazil with the BRICS? You think this wasn't a Brazil thing? You think this wasn't an Argentina thing? Or Colombia? You think this wasn't Colombia-based? Or Panama-based? That this is not a warning shot to those that are speaking to other powers, let's say? This is the warning shot. And Trump will do it, and he's set a new foreign policy that's a bullshit foreign policy, but this is now the foreign policy. This is what we do. We accuse you of narco-terrorism, which nobody knows what the hell that means, and whatever the elements. Let's see if somebody can give you the legal elements of narco-terrorism. What are the legal elements of narco-terrorism? Now, a legal element of a crime is the elements that you have to prove. Like if you're driving while intoxicated, there are certain steps. You got to be operating the vehicle. You know, you can't be asleep in the back seat, you know, although that depends on the state, really. And it's... well, it doesn't matter. But the elements are each particular fact that you have to achieve. And I want to see the definition of narco-terrorism. The DEA defines narco-terrorist organization as an organized group complicit in the activities of drug trafficking in order to further or fund premeditated, politically motivated violence perpetrated against non-combatant targets with the intention to influence a government. Oh, crap, it's cut off. A government or, damn it, the whole thing wasn't there. And when I moved to scroll down, it took out took it to the next page. The DOJ in its great wisdom, you know, has put this out here. Throughout history, narco-terrorists. Here's the rest of it. Sorry about that. The DEA defines a narco-terrorist as an organized group complicit in the activities of drug trafficking in order to further fund premeditated, politically motivated violence perpetrated against non-combatant targets with the intention to influence, that is, influence a government or group of people. That's what the DEA defines narco-terrorist organization is. You have to prove that they're an organized group, 1, complicit in activities, 2, of drug trafficking. 3, in order to further 4, fund for a premeditated 5, politically motivated violence 6, perpetrated against non-combatant targets 7, with the intention to influence. What the flip is that? That is influence a government or group of people. So we're charging the president of a country with influencing his own country. That's narco-terrorism. He uses it to influence a government or group of people. That's it. So a narco-terrorist can be a president if he doesn't kill the people in his country that are engaged in drug trafficking. That is the most. I mean, and this takes a lot of law. I mean, it doesn't take much of a lawyer to poke holes in all of that. You know, how are you going to prove the organized group? Okay, what's the organized group? We don't know. You know, it's his group. Look, we arrested 5 of them. That's a group, right? And we say they're together. And this is strong evidence that they're together. Complicit, you know, every single one of them has to have a part in it because they got to be complicit. You know, it can't be just one guy because, you know, it's an organization. You got to be part of an organization. You can't be a man of one. You can't be just a drug trafficker. That won't work. This has to be an organized group. Organized being a key word. How are they organized? We don't know. This is such horseshit, and all it is a public display of power. And this is propaganda. This is political. We will run Venezuela. At least he makes no bones about it. I mean, you know, it's not like, oh, we're going to put somebody else in charge. Nah. Venezuela's ours. We're winning the risk game. We took Venezuela on the risk board, and it's ours. And honestly, it ain't worth listening to the rest of this crap. The general just got up and going to talk about how, you know, my troops did such a great job. You're fighting Venezuela, dude. If you can't take over Venezuela, oh, my God. Do we get to count this as a war that we won in the last 50 years? Could this be the first war that we have won in 50 years? Oh, my God. I think we're going to have a field day with this. We're going to have a field day. We won a war. And the war was a 50-second war. You know, we just went in, took them over, we win. The end. Oh, this is embarrassing to us. Well, I plan to speak on that again later in the week. I think that Monday will come and there will be more news upon it. You realize, by the way, that narco-terrorism, these terrorist organizations, is as a case of formerly controlled Afghanistan. Narco-terrorism wasn't limited to terrorist organizations. Afghanistan is a major source country for the cultivation, processing, and trafficking of opiates, producing over 70% of the world's supply of illicit opium in 2000. Because the country's decimation by decades of warfare, illicit drugs have become a major source of income. The Taliban's Afghanistan would be an example of a state primarily funded by illicit opium production. Narco-terrorism, Afghanistan. Through this drug income, the Taliban were able to support and protect Osama bin Laden and the Al-Qaeda organization. As in this case, drugs and terrorism frequently share common ground of geography, money, and violence. We're the good guys, folks. We couldn't take over Afghanistan. That didn't work. But and Trump gets to, you know, say, well, we took Venezuela. It's because Venezuela isn't Afghanistan. And you parked the Navy off of the coast and blew up all these boats and then started blowing up shit on land. I am so against this, obviously, that, sorry to rant on it, but that's what I'm doing. What's the evolution of narco-terrorism according to the DEA, right? Any region in which illegal drugs are cultivated, transported, distributed, or consumed is susceptible to narco-terrorism. They're introducing us to narco-terrorism so that they can use it later to take over countries, right? This is the document that came out from the DEA. Throughout the world, insurgent groups, revolutionary groups, and ideological or spiritual groups who use violence to promote their political mission may use drug proceeds to fund acts of terror in furtherance of their ideology. Well, in the West, we may use the military-industrial complex to fund our ideology and come pump the oil business world down your throat. That's what we do. And so who's better? Who's better, those funding drugs or those funding the oil rich? You know, that this doesn't help America at all. I want you to ask each of yourselves, ask yourself this question. What good does attacking Venezuela and killing Maduro and his wife, which ultimately is what's going to happen? They aren't going to be able to make the case against them, and so they'll just kill them. They will off them, and that's neither here nor there. They'll die in some crazy accident. They'll be hung in jail. Took their own lives. That kind of thing. That's what they're going to do. And then when they do, they'll say, well, see, they were just so guilty they had to take their own lives. So, but what's the difference between narco-terrorism and oil terrorism? What do we do? I mean, is what we're doing oil terrorism? What good does this do for the American person, for the individual? Zip. Nothing. This is not helping you at all. Will all the Venezuelans that are currently in Florida go back home? Pause. No, they won't. They're not going back home. The only thing that's going to happen is oil will flow from Venezuela to the U.S. through U.S. companies. U.S. companies make bank, and that is the end of it. They make money. Trump makes friends, gets to do some things like that. This is not protecting America. This is protecting the oil businesses. This has nothing to do with America. Zip. This is not how we react. This is not how we're supposed to act. Not at all. Another category of narco-terrorists consists of groups that continually pursue ideological goals while participating in aspects of the drug trade. For example, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. So Colombia. These are notable examples of narco-terrorist groups in almost every corner of the world. Why aren't we attacking every corner of the world, Mr. Trump? Because every corner of the world doesn't have oil fields that you can hand over to Shell or whoever's biggest, that you can just pass off to them. Because trust me, they got to kiss the Trumpster's ass to get the right to do the oil in that country. And he will pass it out to them and to see what he can get, just like everybody else. So many insurgent and extremist groups are suspected of drug trafficking, such as Hezbollah, Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas, in the tri-border regions of Paraguay, Argentina, and Brazil. Now, I've been to the border region of Paraguay, Argentina, and Brazil, to one of the largest in fact, I think it is the largest system of waterfalls on the planet. It's called Iguazu Falls. Holy crap, it was awesome. It's Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil. I think Argentina's not cornered at that point, but it's the three of them, and it's just beautiful. We went from Argentina and saw the Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay. It was just freaking awesome. And it's a huge waterfall complex called the Iguazu Falls, and it's very nice. And they say that is a tri-border area, has huge drug trafficking called Sendero this is Peru. Sendero Luminoso, Shining Path in Peru, the Basque Fatherland and Liberty, ETA in Spain, the level and involvement of drug trafficking by actual narco-terrorist groups, and the evolution of the groups and the purpose are often very different. So my point is, you can find narco-terrorism everywhere, but you can't find oil that you can immediately step in, upgrade what is there, and start pumping oil for big money. Trust me, this is about oil, not drugs. Okay. Kurdistan Workers' Party in Turkey. The PKK in Turkey was founded in 1974, developed as a revolutionary socialist organization. The goal of PKK is to establish an independent nation of Kurdistan. In 1984, the PKK began using violence against Turkish security forces, escalating the level of violence, including civilians. In early 1990s, the group added urban terrorism to their repertoire of activities. The PKK, considered a terrorist organ by most Western governments, is represented in Kurdish immigrant communities throughout the world and particularly prevalent in Europe. They are known to benefit from drug trafficking, but the extent of their involvement is debated. The government of Turkey reports that PKK as an organization is responsible for much of the illicit drug processing and trafficking in Turkey. Turkish press reports say the PKK produced 60 tons of heroin a year and receives approximately $40 million each year from drug trafficking proceeds. According to this, well, then it gives what the DEA and what they have. The Revolutionary Forces of Colombia. Remember the report that we were telling you that Venezuela is not even in it? This is it. This is your report. Venezuela isn't in it. So narco-terrorism wasn't a big deal, but it's huge now. Because why? Because Venezuela has oil. Venezuela isn't even on the list. They are mentioned in passing as the address for somebody, and that's it. So the fact that you're going to claim narco-terrorism, trust me, if you can file an indictment against somebody in federal court, they're done. There's no reason to fight it. So these people will either die on the way to court, or they will be tucked away in some little private villa for them somewhere. Probably together to make it to apologize to them, but they won't run them through the ringer like they do everybody else. They're not going to do that, and if they do, it's a pretty shitty move. You already stole the country. Why? These people should be treated like what's really going on. They should be treated as some sort of a political prisoner and not as a common criminal. This is bullshit no matter how you slice it, and it's just downright wrong. You don't run a country this way. Well, you do if you're Trump. And normally, once again, I am pretty much, although it's getting worse, I'm pretty much a Trump supporter for most of the time, but I don't support this. This is nonsense. Oh, Rubio just took the microphone. Let's see what he's got to say.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolás Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolás Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 4 years.
That means Greenland is next.
Do this, I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this, we're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it.
That's bullshit.
There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now very happy, but instead he wanted to play big boy. And so now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think the message here should be for the world.
Is we
the
get
president
more
doesn't
oil.
go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Is that a message for Cuba? Mr. President.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Mr. President. Running the country. Mr. President. Mr. President.
Mr. President. You said that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela. So who's in power right now?
Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will,
no doubt, they will run the country.
What they're doing, but that's going to be paid, and we're going to get the oil
with a
flowing
group
the way it should be. As you
with
know,
oil
it's just
needs to flow, right?
A minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela
dollars to them a little bit at a time.
Are also
the oil
taken
companies
care
will get it all. He didn't answer the question. He didn't answer.
President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, they always say boots on the ground. So we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment.
You lost
the equipment
a lot
is
of
less
dignity.
important, but
huge.
We could have lost a lot, and we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very.
Are you going to answer who's we? Who is it?
A lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. They stole our oil. We
stole our oil in 1976.
And they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
President, can you explain the exact mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate
answer that.
Yes, it's all being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
That would run Venezuela.
Well, it's largely going to be, for a period of time, the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead, I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world.
We're fighting for democracy in Venezuela.
It required leadership. Venezuela
Answer the question.
A lot of bad people in there. A lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over.
Doesn't kiss
Maduro.
Our asses, right?
So you can look at and others. We have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Oh, I see. We got to make money for the oil companies.
You weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship going?
I understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He's just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass.
We need new hats.
And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is about that.
He has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Mr. President, did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved in it.
Sure. We call members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice.
Fugitives.
And the Department of War supported.
So you just indict people anywhere in the world and then drag them to the United States so that you take jurisdiction over them. This isn't how it works. That's not how our legal system works. Not remotely.
This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, you know. We had a lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
Mr. President, you were one of the only people to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. You know, the safe place is all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. You know, people were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today.
Friends and neighbors, I'm truly embarrassed by all of this. I got to tell you, this is more of the same. Let us keep our eye on the joke that this has turned into and will continue to be, because trust me, this has nothing to do with taking care of the people of Venezuela. If you believe that, you know, take a look at Afghanistan. If you believe that, take a look at Syria. If you believe that, take a look at Palestine, for God's sake. Take a look at anywhere in the world where we have engaged in regime change and tell me that they're better off years later. Look at Serbia right now. Serbia is still being run by a NATO king. You throw a king, I told you about that several months ago. Here we go again, doing the exact same thing, 51st state of America, according to Trump. Only this one will have to comply or we'll take you out too. He said that the vice president was sworn in and is now in charge of the country, but we run the country, not her. She's agreed to do what we say, basically, is what he said, because she has no choice. Otherwise, we'll do the same to you. We've taken over your country for all intents and purposes. And you might as well change the color on your risk board, because Venezuela now belongs to the U.S. Venezuela is not Venezuela any longer. It's the state of Venezuela, another part of the United States of America, 51st state, or territory, kind of like Puerto Rico. And somebody asked, are we going to do the same to Cuba? Is this a warning to Cuba? Did you hear that? Trying to get a response to that. I'm truly embarrassed by all of this. I think it is the wrong move. It's the same old crap, just colored a little bit differently. And do you know what? You got to respect this part of it, though. At least he isn't twisting the truth. What did he say? We took over Venezuela. We are going to run it. And we are going to give the assets to the oil industry forever. And Venezuela can't stop that, because otherwise we'll come back and do it again. Venezuela was working with China to give oil to China and to Russia and to start doing that. That is what this is about. It doesn't have anything to do with narco-terrorism, and I guarantee you the level of drugs coming into the United States isn't going to change because Venezuela wasn't the drug state. They had some, but they're not the drug state. They're like number 6 down on the list. The big boys are different ones. They're Peru. They're Colombia. Argentina, a couple other ones. I forget, was it Panama, Nicaragua? Don't remember. But the top 4, Venezuela is not in. However, Venezuela is number 1 on the oil list, aren't they? They're number 1. And who needs to be in there pumping that oil? The same old assholes that always are. That's who needs to be there. And so that is what we're doing. And a lot of Americans think that's great. A lot of Americans think this is what we're supposed to do. A lot of Americans right now are putting on their MAGA hats and running around going, oh, this is great. Look what we did. We killed the shit out of Maduro and his wife. They should be wearing black T-shirts with oil and put a shell emblem, because this is a victory for Shell. For whatever the big ones are, Chevron, who? Let's ask that question from our Grok or from whoever. Which oil companies, which American, because only American oil companies will be invited. Which American oil companies will benefit the most from Trump's takeover on the risk board of the country of Venezuela? Let us see what comes up with. Chevron is the only American oil company still operating in Venezuela and is in the best position to benefit the most from the change in the country's profile and shift in U.S. policy. Chevron's in sole U.S. presence. Chevron is the single major U.S. oil company having maintained a continuous presence in Venezuela for over a century, operating through joint ventures owned with state-owned oil company Petróleos de Venezuela. Other U.S. majors like ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips chose to exit years ago after asset nationalizations. 70s. They left in the 70s, and Trump is fixing that. Specialized license. Chevron operates under a special license from the U.S. Department of Treasury, Office of Foreign Assets, which has been extended by both Trump and Biden, allowing it to produce and export oil to the U.S., while other companies face strict sanctions. Strategic advantages of the company's deep experience and technical expertise in extracting and refining Venezuela's heavy crude give it a significant competitive advantage. Should the U.S. be fully lifted and political sanctions stabilized, Chevron will be the best placed to quickly ramp up production and help rebuild the company's battered oil infrastructure. Chevron's current operations are structured to repay billions of dollars in debt owed by PDVSA, which is the Venezuelan one, allowing it to recover losses through oil shipment rather than direct cash, a mechanism that appeals to U.S. policymakers. U.S. Gulf Coast refineries are configured to process Venezuela's heavy crude, which makes Chevron's output valuable and profitable for the American market. While other American companies might be interested in returning to Venezuela, many have indicated reluctance to invest. Not anymore. Chevron, having ridden out the turbulence, is situated to as Newsmax says, the Trump administration has polled major U.S. oil companies about whether they would return to Venezuela after removal of Nicolás Maduro. And it's like, remember, every time Trump talked about war in Iraq, he'd rant about the fact that it was oil. It's a fine line between cheap gas and profitable extraction of those resources, and both are not always possible at $56 a barrel. And wait, in Australia, we have iron ore and coal. America save Australia? So, come on in. At least he's not hiding it. These are the commentaries. Chevron owned most of it. If the path forward would be guaranteed, why not buy a guarantee that the country is a big if? We're going to take it. Not only oil in Russia and China has no business in our part of the world. Russia didn't want NATO on its border any closer. We say keep China and Russia over there. This is why it's happening. The people that know what's happening are telling you the truth. This is absolutely to keep Russian oil companies and Chinese oil companies out of Venezuela. It has nothing to do with drugs, friends and neighbors. And notice that nobody's talking about it in the press conference, that this is about drugs. Nobody asks the root cause question. Why? Because we never do. We never care about that. We care about the reality. Here's the reality. We took over a country, and that country is now state number 51 of the United States with a kiss-ass new person in power, and we're going to stay in power. You know, Trump made no question on that. They swore in a new vice president. Yeah, big deal. You know, we're gonna come up with a group. Who will it be? It'll be oil companies. And Trump gets to say that's an illegitimate president. Well, what about the takeover in Maidan? What about the killing of the people in the what do you call them? In the Profsayuz, the union houses in Odessa, that they burned these people alive during the time period when they were inserting a new leader in Ukraine, because we didn't like the old one who was looking to the east instead of the west. So we kill it off. We have people like Victoria Nuland go over there and help pick and choose the next leaders, and we set up Western people to run Ukraine. This is the same thing. If you know, what are we going to do for the Venezuelan people? Seriously. Do we care about them at all? Absolutely not. We do not. And our country sure as hell doesn't. He's not doing this to better the people of Venezuela. He's doing it to better the pocketbooks of the oil giants like Chevron, ExxonMobil, Standard Oil. Those people are going to benefit greatly from this. Will the typical Venezuelan? No. Typical Venezuelan won't be any different than they were before. In fact, they could be arguably worse. Now the oppression will come from a different direction. That's it. And if you, I wish I wasn't as cynical as I am about this, but we've seen this history play out far too many times. What happens when the U.S. engages in regime change? It's a bullshit way to run a country, but it's constant. And I thought Trump was different. How do you like Rubio getting up there and saying, oh, Trump's still a peacetime president. He wants peace, but by God, you better do what he wants or we'll come bomb the crap out of you. We'll come kill you in the middle of the night and steal your president. How many people died? That's what I want to know. They said, oh, yeah, people died, no Americans, but, you know, people died. They put up strong resistance while Maduro was trying to get into his little steel room, you know, his safe room or whatever it was. He was trying to get in there and, you know, it was real risky. We might not have gotten to him then, you know, then what? You know, you're going to wait outside. And, boy, they didn't want that to happen. So they built a replica of his house and trained people for a month or so on how to go in, is what I'm seeing on this. And this is a travesty, I say. And I don't like it. I don't like it one little bit. Let's see if there's anything else. Where else are we? I'm going to listen to this over the weekend. I'm going to listen to some Russian stories. I haven't, or opinions from other parts of the country. I'm especially interested in what India has to say, what China has to say, what Russia has to say, and Brazil as well. I'm very interested in Brazil, and because I want to hear what reaction these BRICS countries have to the because this is an attack on BRICS also. Because the Chinese were very much trying to work with. In fact, last night there was a meeting between Chinese foreign ministers or economic ministers, something like that. There were some people that actually met with Maduro. Saw that when I was playing some Alex Christopher earlier in the show, and they what do you call it? Departed last night. They're gone, and U.S. came in and took it over. But so the point is that the oil riches of Venezuela, I believe Trump knew that something was going to be signed or has been signed or was taken, and this is a big shot across the bow to BRICS. This is a big shot across the bow to China and Russia. I think, frankly, this will speed up the China heading into Taiwan. That's what I think under the one China policy. I think there are for every action there are counter actions, and here they come in with a massive deal to take over this. Taiwan, at least half of the people wish to be associated with China under the one China policy. It's not like they don't want it. The only people, in fact, I heard stories that there's actually a majority in Taiwan that are not against being part of China. But that's tons of money. That is why that will be lost in the West. That is the only reason it's important, is because of the business interests that are tied up over there. And so we should have our imperialism put all over the world. This, just like here in Venezuela, this is nothing but an imperialist move. We are the empire, and Trump is going to continue the empire. I don't like empires. I don't like empire politics. I'm a nationalist. I want to be in one. I want to take care of my own country. Taking Venezuela doesn't do anything to take care of my country, to take care of my children in the future, to limit the risks that they have of assholes going to war with us, of creating World War III by taking over other countries. This is not right. It's just not right. And, right and wrong isn't, you don't just, this is a justification just like every other military takeover in regime change in the last 50 years. This is no different. This is no different than Bush taking or hoping to take over Iraq. You see what a piece of crap that ended up being, right? We don't have long-term policies. We got nothing. What's going to happen in 3 years? Seriously, what's going to happen? Is anybody going to be excited about this anymore? Nope, we lose interest and we move on to the next big money part. There's never enough money, never, for the oil companies or for the big wigs or for the globalists. There's never enough money. So now already they're looking for the next target. They weren't able to take over the vast riches in the east of Ukraine. They weren't able to do that, and they weren't able to have the U.S. be able to profit from those things, so Trump had to get another financial win. Remember, he is a transactional president. He needed that. He needed some transactions to get money flowing to the U.S. I wonder if it's good. Unfortunately, none of it will flow to improve the deficit of government spending. I would like to see some sort of analysis on that. Has anybody ever looked at, I haven't looked at it in a long time, and I think I'm going to have a look at it, the U.S. debt clock. Have you ever seen that? I used to follow it, the national debt clock in real time, and the U.S. debt clock. We have tariff revenues coming in, revenue per taxpayer, $3,200. They put a new line on it. So the U.S. federal debt is now 124.27% of our GDP. And so the national debt is now $38,561,653,000,000, and it goes up about 100,000 every few seconds. As I'm watching, it's 600,000, 700,000, 800,000, 900,000. It's a little bit more than a second per $100,000. You can find this at usdebtclock.org, and it says U.S. total debt in the U.S., unfunded debt, okay, and then U.S. federal interest savings per year. They say this is definanced bankless future. U.S. M2 money supply. I gotta see. So they've redone this. This is quite a bit different. Here's a gold supply and demand. That's interesting. I haven't seen that one before. from usdebtclock.org. It's pretty cool. The base spot where they put it, U.S. population 342,717,833. And the U.S. income taxpayers, 108,340,200. And so that amount, total, let's see. Where is it? I want the amount that they show per citizen. Here you go. Debt per citizen. $112,511. Now, debt per taxpayer is $355,810. And so that amount, what I want to know is whether that's on its way. I mean, it has to be on its way up because the federal budget deficit is $1,728,698,820. Well, it's going up incredibly fast too. Not as fast as the national debt is going up, but federal spending, we're way in the red on. But now they put a new one that are showing this tariff revenues of what tariffs are coming in. Revenue per taxpayer is $3,247, and it is tariff revenue $369,659,140,000, going up pretty quickly. And I tell you what, this is horror story of our national debt. It couldn't have been 2 years ago, maybe 3. Wasn't it about 3 years ago that we passed into the 30 trillion category? So, is this attack, seizure of Venezuela, why are we giving this to private companies if we're going in there and take it? Why didn't the government take it and lease it to? I mean, if you're going to take it anyway, we all know there's no. Trump didn't even hide it. There's no. He didn't talk about drugs. He don't give a shit about drugs. That's the excuse to get to the oil. He don't care about drug trafficking. That is not what's going on. He doesn't care about that. He cares about the oil-rich stuff that he can give. Well, if he was real smart, and I think he is a pretty smart guy, that he's going to require something he has to require something. I wonder what the backroom deals are for what they have to pay to get the oil flowing, because they know it's probably not forever. It's still a hostile, volatile company, and I think you may have made it worse. People don't like you taking over their country. People don't want us in there. The people from Venezuela want, that are living in America don't give a shit anymore because they're here. They're not going to go back there. What they want is a free traffic. They want a free pass to come to America if they want to. That's what they want. And so their families over here, become citizens. They'll bring them in. None of these guys are going to go home. Tell me that now that the U.S. is in charge of Venezuela, that any of these immigrants coming in are going to leave. Are we going to repatriate, renationalize them? Not likely. Highly unlikely, in fact. These people aren't going home. It's one thing to wave a Venezuelan flag from Miami. Oh, geez, we're Venezuelan, and we're popular, right? It's real popular to be Ukrainian in the U.S. these days. Horribly popular to be a Venezuelan now. You get to walk out on the street and wave your flag and say, I'm a Venezuelan. Well, go home. Everything's beautiful now, right? U.S. is going to run the place. Go home. What difference will it be between there and here? Go. See you. They're not going anywhere. And frankly, I don't care. I'm not saying that because I don't want them here. I don't give a crap. I'm talking about the more people, more here, the merrier. I don't care. Now, I'd like them to come legally. I have a problem with the illegal stuff. I have a problem with bombing countries and taking over their country. We didn't bomb anybody. Well, no, there was some bombing. There were some explosions in various places around in certain places to threaten people to keep them in home around Caracas, right? There was some of that. And I want to know how many people they killed to take these people. I think that's BS. And who are you to indict somebody in another country for terrorism? I mean, this is so stupid. You could say that about any leader in any South American country. They haven't destroyed narco-terrorism, which nobody can define. I read you the ridiculous definition of narco-terrorism. It fits to everybody. Hell, hey, I'm a narco-terrorist. Yeah, I'm just as much as they are. This is nonsense. And so I'm going to have fun with this as we discuss it while our debt climbs incredibly from 38 trillion. It's gone up, several million while I've been sitting here watching it. And this is the scary part. And taking Venezuelan oil isn't going to change this. The Trump administration has not changed this. They may have, through these tariffs, slowed down minutely the clicking of 100,000, which is now taking slightly more than a second, but maybe when he took office, it was making slightly less than an extra second, because the deficit spending is what's kicking your ass. And the federal deficit spending is huge. It's $1 trillion in the negative, so you can't stop it. But the interest is what's kicking the ass. So they're $1.7 trillion deficit each year. We're spending 1.7 trillion more than we're bringing in. And everybody's used to it. This is what we do. We just borrow the money from, oil companies, right? And this is what we're doing. And that is going to fund this U.S. debt, right? And that's just the corpus, the base amount. That's the asset part of the debt. That's and debt's not an asset, but I mean the body of the debt. So every year you can add, your deficit spending adds on 1.7 trillion, but you're adding on at the rate that it's going several trillion each year in interest. So the interest is larger than the budget each year. U.S. total interest paid, unfunded debt. Well, they have credit card debt too. And the average person has $8,174 in debt. Wow. These numbers are pretty cool to look at. U.S. debt that is held by foreign countries. $9,340,633,533,000 is what it is. And our trade deficit is enormous too. Wow. There's some crazy numbers in all of this. This is and again, I'm checking out usdebtclock.org. It's a good place to go and check out some of this, and they keep track of it by the second. Well, we're going to wind up the show. I am going to be done here in about 10 more minutes. Let's go see if there's any cool news that has come out. I appreciate you listening to my rant today, and I got to tell you, I only chose to do an extra show, as it were, because of the bullshit of the day, and there is plenty of it. I'm going to see if they unseal that indictment for me at some point, because at some point they may make it a public document. Right now it's not. I tried to get it. They said they were unsealing it, so I don't understand why we can't see it. Maybe it's because it needs to be edited or changed, but the office of the Attorney General said they wanted to unseal it because it was a sealed indictment before, and I want to get a copy of what this is, and I want to analyze it from the jurisdiction part. where do you get the jurisdiction to go and arrest somebody? He said it was law enforcement, right? So the military goes in and takes somebody and if they end up on the U.S., you can take jurisdiction of them. So arguably, if you put them on a U.S. ship, they are on U.S. soil, and therefore you can arrest them. So they didn't arrest them until they got them there. This is like the spy movies, where they try to take somebody out. You can't take jurisdiction over somebody outside of jurisdiction, right? And what are they showing up here? Trump says, we will run Venezuela until transition. But who's the lady that is sworn in? Mercado well, she hadn't been sworn in, but I'm interested in that. To Venezuela, you're going to have peace, justice, and safety. Oh, yeah. That's what we provide everywhere we go. Peace, justice, and safety, right? Oh, my God. Yep, that's what we're providing the world today. That's us. Where are the live updates? Let's see what the latest is, if there's anything cool. We're going to have our very large U.S. oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. We are ready to stage a second, much larger attack if we need to do so. So we are prepared to do a second wave, says Trump. That is crazy. The U.S. is a curse upon all of Latin America. Former U.S. Army officer Stanislav Krapivnik has told RT, condemning the capture of Venezuela's Nicolás Maduro. Now, I like listening to this Stanislav Krapivnik. He was a U.S. Army officer for quite a few years. And go out and look him up. I actually was trying to get him on a show, either in Russian or in English. I'm still trying to get that done. And I've been following a little bit of threads to try to get to Krapivnik because I think we'd have some interesting conversations both in English and in Russian. And I really want to talk to this guy. And I've been trying to get to Russia again. My what do you call it? Visa expires the last day of February, and I'm sorely tempted to find a way to get there quickly and go try to hunt down this Krapivnik and a couple of other people that would be very interesting to talk to over there. Plus, I got some interviews lined up for my damn self if I go. And so I'm supposed to be there right now. The plan was that I go over New Year's. If I don't get to go in February, March, when my other one expires, I'll have to go back. I'll have to mail my passport to the Russian consulate to get a new one. Pay them another buttload of money and get another visa for 3 years because I think it's important to have that and to go. I don't know if you heard this yet, but Zelensky has sent a new ally to be the defense minister. Zelensky has offered Ukraine's IT czar, Mikhail Fyodorov, the position of Minister of Defense. The move comes as the country continues to grapple with the series of high-profile corruption allegations. And pointing this guy isn't going to change anything. They're still going to be corrupt as hell. He's decided to, here's the quote, "I've decided to change the working format for the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Mikhail is involved in issues related to the drone line that works effectively on digitizing public services and processes," said Zelensky. So we've got that going on. Tehran is demanding a U.S. response. I want to look at the legality of this bullshit attack on Venezuela. The justification for it is tenuous, no matter how you slice it. This narco-terrorism, we're the world's police department, is a BS line, and everybody knows it. But this is how they justify it. This is how they justify we're going to do what we want to do. It's just like legal decisions are made. You pick the winner, The judge picks the winner and then figures out how he can tailor the law to match who he picks, right? I don't believe that the people follow the law. If they followed the law, many of the things that occur wouldn't occur. But what they do is they pick winners and losers and then figure out the most or the least offensive way to get there with the most justification. That's how I feel about this attack on Venezuela. And I think people need to be seriously concerned about the activities of the United States and what we are doing on the global stage under the old Trumpster. The sad part is, as I've always said, ever since 2015, when he was standing in a group of 16 or 17 Republican wannabe presidents, and I was leaning toward him, and I would say things like, well, he's not my favorite, but look who else is there. The same old crap for years. The same old assholes doing the same old thing. Marco Rubio, by the way. Marco Rubio's a neocon. Marco Rubio loves his war. He loves his military-industrial complex. This is fodder for people like him. He loves it. We're going to go more into this, but the show is here ending. We're winding down. I will be back with you on Monday morning, 7:30 to 9. I did this special thing just because I was pissed off, and so here I am. Hope you enjoyed the show. You should listen to Damn Radio. You can do so at damnradio.com/live anytime. You can listen to my podcast versions of all these shows because I upload them to internationalflavor.com quickly after they are completed. And you can follow me at any of those places. You can also send me emails at internationalflavor, Samuel T. at internationalflavor.com. And I would love to chat with you on that. I'm on Telegram. I'm on WhatsApp. Do some LinkedIn every once in a while, a few things like that. And so you can find me around. I've got plenty of contact information. Coming to you live from the Lake Ozark Real Estate of the Art Studio, winding up the show. If you wish to go to damnradio.com/schedule, you can find every wonderful show and follow us there. And I appreciate your listenership, as does our fearless leader, J.R. Hartenstein, the founder of The Feast. I really hope all of you have a wonderful weekend.